So it's so great to meet you again. Welcome back to Italy again.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you, how does it feel each time you touch the stages here? You told me you love our country.
Well, I do, yes. Every time I come, it's always...
Italy is right home to you.
Yes, it is. It's always very... an extension, you know, of friendship. I think Italy was the first place you would walk on stage and not feel different on stage to the way you felt, you know, before you stepped on stage. I used to think that you had to become a different person when you got on stage. Now I realise you just need to be yourself in all situations, actually, you know. So it's about as natural as it can be on stage in Italy. There's something molto naturale, and as I say, an extension of friendship. It's like that over here. It's very personal. I don't know what it's like to live here, but I know it's very different to England, where, you know, people are more reserved.
Yes, and I know you traveled a lot.
Yes.
I mean, do the countries you visit inspire you to write something? And do you write?
Yes.
Do you write any tracks during your journeys?
Yeah. Every day I try to write something. It doesn't always happen, but I try and have a little notepad to write down ideas, you know, when going from place to place. But what can happen sometimes is you can get a good idea, but at the wrong time, you know, just when you're late, just as you're doing your suitcase. And I'm always running by the clock, you know, that's my life on tour, you know. But I have written some things since I've been here. Yeah.
And when you record your tracks, I mean, do you think of something in particular, or is your mind completely set on the music and stuff like that?
Well, I tell you what. Sometimes your mind goes back over experiences that you've had, and that affects the music that you do. Traveling, I think, in itself produces a result, because there's the motion of travel, and you forget who you are and where you are, because that's in a constant state of flux. So because life is always changing, it affects the music that you're writing. I think that, you know, if I stay at home, I'm aware that here's me, and I know I go to the local shops and they all know me, and I'm fixed in that. But I think when you're traveling, the world is being reinvented for you the whole time. So it's almost as if there's a familiarity in change itself, which is a kind of contradiction, but it's the way it works, I think, for a lot of artists. Change informs the work everywhere you go. So on this tour, I've visited all sorts of places. Been to Russia, to Moscow, to St. Petersburg. Visited Auschwitz. You'd be amazed the amount of things. I've played with the wolves, the dogs, played with wolf cubs. All things in recent days. I got sick twice. I had a cold, and then I got better, and I got a cold again.
I remember last year when we met in Turin,
I had a cold. I often do, because what happens is, you know,
and you needed a tissue.
You're running down, always blowing the nose. Yeah, you know, it's human. You know, that's how it is. So for all of us, we deal with energies and a limitation of all of that.
Yeah. And so this is a question according to my curiosity.
Yes.
Do you look forward to making projects with other artists of your genres, or with like guitarists with like Slash, Joe Perry, Brian May,
Well, sometimes I've worked with other guitarists, and sometimes that can be very good. I have worked with some devastatingly good guitarists. I think what tends to happen when guitarists get together, it turns into a little bit of a guitar competition. But if you can write songs together, this is a more fruitful way of doing it, rather than seeing who can play faster or, you know, cleverer. You know, I'm involved with guitar, but I'm not always limited to what guitar music can do. You know, I'm thinking about the groups, singers, other instruments, orchestra, and so I like to think about other writers and composers and the instruments that they write for. So guitar is just part of the story for me. It's a very big part of it, but it's not the entire picture.
And this is a question from there. And I mean, I know you use in your equipment both Gibson and Fender guitars.
Yep.
So which one do you prefer and why? And did you notice and find anything in particular in each one of them?
Well, I fell in love with the sound of the Les Paul many years ago. I love the sound of that, and I still use it. I have one at home.
I mean, which one do you prefer?
Well, I think the ultimate guitar probably hasn't been invented yet. They all do different things. When I'm playing the electric, I sometimes work live with Fernandez, which is, it's really a copy of the Les Paul shape, but it has the sustainer pickup, and it has a Floyd Rose tremolo on, so it enables me to do other things. But I love the Gibson because of the fatness of tone very much. The Fender, I always, whenever I picked one up, I always had to work harder at getting the sound of it, you know, the tension, tune it down because of the longer scale. It can sound wonderful, but it's very personal. You know, there are many people who get great sounds with Fenders, but I'm really, as I say, somewhere between Fernandez and Gibson. I also love the nylon guitar and 12-string guitar. So 12-string acoustic, 12-string electric sometimes. They all have something to offer. Even the cheapest, worst guitar has something to offer. Sometimes I can use something that is really cheap because it might sound a little bit like a dobro or like a country guitar. Not always necessary to play something in the concert hall virtuoso. Sometimes just the backwoods sound, something rootsy. Guitar is what you make it, I think.
Yes. And are you thinking of carrying on with your live concerts career, or are you looking forward to make an unedited album?
Well, I'm working on a new record. I'm halfway through a new record. And then I don't know how much longer it will take me to finish it. I hope it will be released at the beginning of next year, February perhaps. It all depends on other projects, of course, and how fast I write, and how fast I manage to surprise myself and supply the answers to a number of questions that I ask myself on a daily basis.
And tell me, why the name Genesis?
Genesis originally, you mean?
Yes, Genesis. Why did you choose this name?
Well, I think when the band was at school together, before I joined them, they made an album with Jonathan King, who suggested that they called the album from Genesis to Revelation. And it's really what gave the band their name. I don't think there was any special religious connotation with it, but I think that the band, even in the very early days, liked to tell stories. So there's an aspect of mythology that goes with that, and of course, you know, the first book in the Bible, Genesis, is very much mythological, symbolic, rather than literal, because we know that science tells a different story.
And so is this story that we're all hearing of the reunion true, or is it just crap?
I think I've been waiting for a reunion for a very long time. The last time we spent on stage together, I think, was 1982.
So
Long time ago, and I also worked with Peter and Mike Rutherford on something in the same year, which was a charity event for a children's hospital. So it's been a very long time, and my door is always open, but it doesn't mean anything. Okay? It doesn't mean anything.
It's one of the most important doors.
There you go.
It's one of the most important.
You have to wait for everyone to say yes at the same time, and you know, I don't know. I see them. I talk to them. We talk socially, and maybe one day we'll get married again together for 5 minutes. Who knows? And maybe not.
Who knows? It's a secret.
I just don't know.
Yeah, and will there ever be a Genesis Revisited 3?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I don't know if there's enough Genesis material that I feel personally about, that I feel I could do justice to, because the ones that I've done are really some of my favourite songs, and my perception of the band would be different to everyone outside it. You know, people might love the whole of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and they might say, oh, well, why don't you do the whole of that? But it's been done, so there are many tracks, but I haven't got any intention to do Revisited number 3. But I take the influence of the way we work together. So there is and there isn't, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
May I make a request? A special request. The Battle of Epping Forest.
Battle of Epping Forest.
Yes.
Yes.
Me too. Me too.
Nomads.
Me too.
Nomads is one of my favourites.
Me
It's
too.
interesting.
It's
I think Nomads is probably more what I'm about these days. Difficult to do it without a troupe of dancers, though, of course. But there you are. I think I have to go and eat because I only have 15 minutes before
Yes,
I
sure.
meet and greet with people.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.